Hello everyone, Xflowin here, and today I want to show you the build I've been playing in a couple of past days. It's really fun, zero button build, really lazy, and you don't need much stuff to do. You just need to walk around and enemies will die. So this is Righteous Fire, cast when stun chieftain build. So basically what it does, enemies hit you and as retaliation skills hit them back and they die. And whenever they're dying, they have a chance to be ignited and they explode. And this is massive screen clear AoE effect. So this is really lazy build, really simple to set up, quite cheap. And now let's get into the details. So probably first let's go over the items which I have. This total of items cost was, I don't know, maybe 60 divines or so. It's not really so expensive and you can build it for way cheaper than I do. So first of all, we're using obviously Scepter with some elemental damage, fire damage over time, fire damage spells, increase spell critical strike, even though we don't need that, and increase fire damage and 20% chance to ignite, because we need 100% chance to ignite on this build. So the more you have on the Scepter, the less you need to spend on the tattoos, which I'll show you in the passives later. Moving on next, on the helmet, the helm I should upgrade because it's quite okay, but I want way better helm. So this helm right now is socketed gems are supported by level 18 concentrated effect. Socketed gems deal more elemental damage, some block chance, max life, fire res, increased AoE, increased level of socketed AoE gems, and increased AoE as well. Moving on next, amulet, probably the best in slot is Defiance of Destiny, just because it gives some resistances for us, but most important part is gain 24% of missing and reserved life before being hit by an enemy, and this is huge defensive layer for us. Also, we anointed Defiled Forces on this amulet, and the role of this amulet can get, I think it's 24 is maximum, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 25. So moving on next, the shield. Shield is pretty simple. We have socketed gems have 30% increased reservation efficiency, some max life, some life regen, elemental res, and some armor. On the armor slot, Cloak of Flame, probably best in slot as well. It's pretty crap armor. I need to upgrade that as well, but for now it works fine. 70% to fire resist, and most important is 40% of physical damage taken as fire damage. So we have 40% physical damage mitigation, since we are having like 90% fire res. So it helps to mitigate the physical damage quite a lot. On the ring slots, one of the rings is a Hateful Accuser, just basically it gives some life, some chaos res, and it grants level 20 penance mark here, which we can cast manually on the mobs and on the bosses. On the another slot is mandatory ring, is Valerium. It gives some resistances, but most important, stun threshold is based on energy shield instead of the life. So without this, this build doesn't work. Moving on next, on the gloves, some fire damage leech as life, ignites you, inflicts spread to other enemies within 1.2 meters. This is mandatory for this build as well. And then just some life, regen, resistances, whatever you can fit in. On the belt, I just recently bought Headhunter just to check out how does it feels like. Before that, I was running Immortal Flesh, and Immortal Flesh, well, basically just because it gives us huge HP regen. Also 40% increased armor while not ignited, frozen, or shocked, so it increases our armor quite well. And moving on to the boots slot, regen some life per second, maximum fire resist, movement speed, and resistances, whatever you can fill in. On the flasks, I'm using Bismuth flask just for some extra explosions. It's not like really necessary, but it's really nice to have and quality of life if you can survive with this. The next one, Ruby Flask, because it gives +5 to maximum fire res, additional fire res, and obviously we crafted it used when Adjacent Flask is used. And also immunity to bleeding and corrupted blood during effect, and since we're using quite a lot, I mean they're running almost non-stop, so we are basically immune to bleeding and corrupted blood. Next one, some Basalt Flask for more armor and some increased movement speed during effect. Then we are using Sulfur Flask for some increased damage and immunity to poison during effect, and Consecrator the ground on use. And the last but not least is Cinder Swallow Urine, just because it gives quite a lot of regen for us, so like regenerate 3% life per second during effect, and since it's running almost all the time, we're regenerating 3% extra of the life. Also recover 2% of life when you kill an enemy during effect, and enemies ignited by you during effect take 7% increased damage. So basically that's offensive and defensive layer, and I really like to have it on the slot. And since we covered the items, now we can just quickly go through the gems. So for the gems, Firestorm Punishment, cast when stunned. On the helmet, Righteous Fire, Awakened Elemental Focus, increased area of effect, and Awakened Burning Damage. On the shield, it's Flame Dash for movement skill, Flesh and Stone as defensive skill, Petrified Blood as defensive skill. On the armor, where all our main skill is, Bladefall of Volleys, Firestorm of Pelting, Spell Cascade, Flame Surge, Frost Bomb, and cast when stunned. On the gloves, it's faster attacks with Shield Charge, Purity of Elements with Eternal Blessing. On the boots is Detonate Dead of Scavenging with Swift Affliction, Cast when stunned, and Burning Damage. So as you can see, we have a bunch of cast when stunned gems in here. So this is how it works. And now we can move up to the passive skill tree. So I'll show you my passives and the gems that I'm using. So before that, Ascendancy, obviously Chieftain, and this is no brainer to take. This is the classic. What to take is like you take Hinakoras for some explosions. You're taking this one for nearby enemies. Monster fire resistant against damage over time is -20 while you're stationary. So you basically can stay and enemies resistance will be -20. Then some regen, and those two nodes gives us maximum cold and lightning resistance depending on our fire res. So basically we're just stacking bunch of fire resistance, and in the same way it fixes all our other resistances. As you can see, 85, 85, 85, and those are way over capped, so we don't care about the mods minus resistances on the maps and so on. So this is pretty self-explanatory and probably the most used layout on here. And moving on next, now we can just see where we are routing through. So we're taking some nodes here to the fastest route, to the bottom right here for the stun mastery. Hits against you cannot be critical strikes if you've been stunned recently, and since we are stunned like almost all the time, we are basically crit immune for that. And then moving on next, I am taking 3 nodes here for attacks have some chance to ignite. So the more we spend some points here, but we don't need to spend so much on the tattoos, which are quite expensive. And here 10% of fire damage over time with attack skills, and recover 2% life when you ignite a non-ignited enemy. And since we're like covering quite a lot of mobs, and we igniting quite a lot of them, we are getting quite a lot of recovery. Then moving up here, we're taking increased life reservation efficiency of skills together with those 3 nodes, which increases efficiency. Moving on next, recovery mastery. regenerate 4% life per second while on low life. And moving out here for another life mastery, so for some extra more life. Moving over here, blood magic, remove all mana, 10% more maximum life, no brainer, since we don't really need mana, we're just using life, so this is probably best in slot as well. Here some armor, and a chance to get endurance charge when you're hit, so it's pretty good defensive layer for us. Moving on next, increased armor and life, and armor and life. Next one, Blood Notch Crimson Jewel, 56% of damage taken from stunning hits recovered as life. This is mandatory for this build. Then we're picking up one more endurance charges. Moving on next, maximum life, elemental resistances, maximum life, elemental resistances, pretty simple. Also here I picked up some tattoos of Warmonger, so for 5% chance to ignite. So right now I have 100% chance to ignite on here. Then we are taking one large cluster jewel. We're taking notes with some extra fire damage and some life regen, and putting 2 jewels here with fire damage over time, increase fire damage, maximum fire resistance, and some mana reservation efficiency of skills, but I mean you do not use any mana, so it's kind of pointless. And another one is almost the same, some maximum fire res, increase max mana, increase fire damage and damage over time. Then moving on right side, so we are using the elegant hobbyist timeless jewel, basically because we can ignore attribute requirements, so we can use any gems we want and we don't need to worry about our stats. Also it gives good note here, plus 37% to chaos res, so it helps us with chaos res quite a lot. Moving on next, some life nodes. Here maximum endurance charges and immutable force for some increased stun and block recovery. This is also mandatory for this build, so I guess you just need to aim over 900 just to feel, so it feels way better while mapping and doing stuff. And moving up next, same stuff, max life, life mastery. Right here, fire damage over time, and regenerate 1 life per second for each 1% uncapped fire res. So the more fire resistance you have, the more life regen you will get. And moving on next, another large cluster jewel with some fire damage, AoE, elemental damage, one more medium jewel for some chaos res, burning damage, and some max life. And we're putting the jewel right here with a damage over time, increased fire damage, +2 to maximum fire res. And the same story on another side, we're taking one medium cluster jewel and we're putting some AoE, some 20% AoE effect if you killed at least 5 enemies recently, and usually we're killing a bunch of them, so it helps us a lot. And last but not least, some fire damage, increased fire damage, and +2% to maximum fire resistance. And moving on next, we're taking this route here. We're taking bunch of the fire damage nodes, and damage penetrates 6% fire res. And here some increased fire damage and stuff like this. Here life, you want to get as much life as you can get. And the last one node, we're moving up right here just to take the jewel socket, and it's Watcher's Eye prismatic jewel. It gives us some maximum life, but most important is +38% to chaos res while affected by purity of elements. And since we are affected by purity of elements, we can almost cap our chaos res pretty fine. As you can see, I'm at 70%, so it's quite fine. You can use one more flask to cover it if you feel that you're missing it, but in my case I didn't felt like a big notice on it, so I'm not using it at all. right now, but you can use it. Also, instead of bismuth flask, if you don't want to use, I was using some granite flask for some extra armor. But it depends on your playstyle, on whatever do you want. Also, the same story with Headhunter. I haven't tried yet with Headhunter. How does it feel? But I guess you will see after this one. You will see map showcase, which will be tier 16 8 mod with some deli and some breaches. So I want to see how does it perform compared to this one. So basically that's it. In the description you will see the POB link with all the items and stuff that I have. So once again, as I said, it's really lazy build. If you like lazy builds and if you like zero button builds where you just walk around doing nothing and you're having pretty good survivability, this is the perfect build for you. There's many takes on this build. On cast when stun, there's plenty of different options how to make it, and probably I will just update it as the time goes, but for now this is what I've got right now. So that's about this build. And if you like this, you can comment this. If you have any questions, you can comment as well. And so for now that's it. So thank you for the watching. Stay chill, hit hard, and see you in the next one.